Hey everyone, I'm Tarticate, and thank you so much for coming to my channel today. We are going to be building this tavern you see right behind me. It is a D&D fantasy style tavern, and let me tell you, it is absolutely huge, and I am so excited to show it to you guys. There is going to be a part 2. It was just so massive, I couldn't get it done in one video, so this is going to be just the exterior, and the interior is going to be done in the next build. So if you do want to see that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss that video. And with that said, let's just jump right into it. So things I was thinking about going into this build was that I wanted this to be the kind of only feature in this area. I wanted it to kind of captivate the whole region. This tavern would definitely be big enough to fit in a city with a big castle, walls, all the whole works, but I wasn't really ready to build a full city at this stage or time and my own sanity, so I opted to put it in the middle of a forest. I kind of was thinking that it would be the only place to stay between two major cities or points of interest that people would be forced to stop and stay here if they wanted to travel between these places, not because it's the best place, but just because it's the only place that they have to stay. I also wanted it to look kind of like it had been gradually added onto over time out of necessity and demand. Not that it was intentionally built that way in the first place. That's why it's kind of got the extra bits slapped on the sides. And I wanted it to look a bit like questionably stable. Not that it is by any means structurally unsound, but almost like it would definitely have to have some kind of magic holding it up. You know, there are definitely the support beams at the bottom, but that it is, you know, you definitely take a second look at how it's being supported. So for the details on this, I really focused on fences, gates, stairs, and trapdoors. With the fences and gates, I think the alternating pattern really helped to break up the repeated fence pattern that I tend to get on a lot of my builds, and I think it really worked well, especially with the scale of the build. And the trapdoor really works, I think, as shutters. I'm sure a lot of you know. So for the roof here, I really wanted a kind of sloping, more dramatic roof, and this is something that's I've always kind of found hard to get right, and it's really kind of hard to explain how to do. So what you're going to want to do is change the amount of blocks between your drops there. So you're gonna want to see I go from like 2 to 1 to stairs to slabs, and it gives you a kind of like nice slope down. You'll see me do it several times throughout the video, so hopefully you can kind of see how it's done, and I think it gave a really nice effect on the roofs as a whole. So moving on to this pop out, it is a lot larger, so I did want it to have a sturdier support system. So it's got these wider beams at the bottom, and I used a repeated fence post pattern to give a stilt-like effect or just more weight distribution, and I think it gives it a lot sturdier of a look since it does come out a lot further than the other pop outs. And since this is bigger, I thought it would make a nice presidential suite or isolated housing unit for the owners. And because of that, I gave it a kind of more newish, fancy-ish decoration. To accomplish that kind of fancy look, I gave it more white space between the windows and the fence post decorations. You'll see comparing it to the one next to it that it's kind of got less clustered fence posts and more gates and more white space. So I have started working on a website to offer world downloads to you guys for free. This build will not be available just yet. I won't offer them until the build's totally complete, so you'll have to wait until part 2 comes out in a couple weeks. But if the website's up and running by the time the video is available, I'll have a link in the description and a button on the page for you guys to go check it out, at least for the sunflower house. So if that's something you guys are interested in, keep an eye out for that coming up. So getting back to this, I lost the recording of me building this bottom dude here But the key takeaway is he's going to be supporting the tallest part of the build here. So this part really contributes to the instability look of the whole build. So it was really important to me to have this look just right. And I think even though he, as a little bit there, I don't know why I'm calling him he, I guess he looks like a little stumpy boy, but even though I think he as a whole looks sturdy and like it's supporting this top bit, it really contributes to the overall instability of the build. And his key features there is that flat rooftop that this top bit is really just sitting on. And another bit that contributes to the instability is having this extra tiny pop out also sticking out further than what he's actually supporting on the bottom there. It just really adds to the leaning bit. So I know I initially said that when I was building this and planning this, I thought about it in terms of being in between two cities. But as I've spent more time in the world and building it, I kind of like the idea of it being the last stop on the way to a big bad boss monster type deal where adventurers come here and spend time trying to kill this monster, and this is their safe haven refuge where they go to kind of rest and recuperate and recover all those hit points they lost, and lots of them die along the way, and this is just a refuge place. So let me know what you guys think of those ideas. Let me know which one you like better. What kind of big bad monster do you think would be in this giant spruce forest in the middle of nowhere? Maybe we could build a kind of monster lair off to the side out somewhere. No, let me know what you guys think. So with my roofs, I have found that it improves them immensely just to curve them a bit. It's really simple to do. It's just finding the middle point and gradually going down a block, maybe two, by slabs. And I like to change the intensity of that slope just depending on the look I'm going for. So this tallest point, I actually went for a pretty steep slope, but it's not that intense of a thing to do, and it really increases the quality of the roofs a lot. So you'll see here that I really struggle with this roof quite a bit. It's because I had it slope out longer to make it a really flat edge on the roof, and that made it a little bit wonky with that slope. So what I did is I added a fence support roof and had the edges kind of lean over like it's kind of sagging from the rain, and I think that just made it a little less awkward and wonky. So we're about to get into making these custom trees that I really wanted to do to make the height of the build look a little less awkward for the forest around it. And I tell you, when I say I struggled, I mean I struggled with these trees. These first ones ended up looking too dumpy, and the second one looked too flat and sad and like a really cheap dying Christmas tree. So what I did is I'm not gonna lie, I had to go back to some basics. I watched some how to make good Minecraft trees tutorials, and I scaled that up to this giant spruce tree. And what I will say is what did help to do this on this scale of a tree was I did drape these leaves over a little bit more than you would normally on a spruce tree. Not like a willow level, but I do think that it helped show the weight of the branches on the size of a tree. But the only thing else I would say is just sometimes on this size of a build, you really have to just go back to those basics and scale it up to what you're doing. If you're really struggling, like there's no shame, just go back to those basics. So moving on from that, I'm going to start building a road that you can kind of see there in the corner, as well as a lake and some other stuff to put some life into the build that is kind of nice to watch. So I will stop talking and let you guys enjoy that. second here. I'm just taking care of some last minute necessities. You know, we got to make sure our horses are taken care of. We got to make sure we have an outhouse. I struggled a little bit with the outhouse. I made it too large initially, and I struggled with the roof quite a bit, just doing something on that small of a scale. I didn't want to just flatten it off, but it kept looking kind of awkward. And then I wanted a root cellar because I figured they'll have lots of stored vegetables. They won't get shipments and trades a lot. And then I wanted a larger stable in the back for people that have been here quite a bit or are going to need to store large amounts or things of that nature. And I spent quite a bit of time making sure that the horses are comfortable because it's important to take care of our animals. All right, guys, we are done. I've added in all of the final details for this tavern. We've added in the wall detailings. There is a path that goes all the way around the lake, and I am just so excited for you guys to see those cinematic shots. Remember, the interior won't be done for another 2 weeks, so if you want to see part 2, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you can see that. And if you would like the world download, that should also be done in another 2 weeks, so keep an eye out for all of those things. And with that said, thank you guys so much for checking this out. It means a lot to me, and I hope you guys enjoy all of the lovely cinematic shots and have a wonderful day.